Hello and welcome to this FPL Gameweek 22 team selection video with me, Holly Shand. We're arriving at a double game week. I've got 2 free transfers. I've changed my mind over the last week on what moves I'm going to make. Let's get into it. Starting with the deal sheet then, and Eddie Nketiah is firmly on the buy list following his brace against Manchester United. He's behind Haaland only for expected goals since the restart, and he's now my second favourite Arsenal player behind Odegaard. On the monitor list, I've got Leeds United's Patrick Bamford, who could be worth the punt for Leeds double. He's back in the squad, back fit, back in form as well, and he loves FPL. He could even be triple and captaining himself in his own team, so that's good enough to make me think, why not give him a shot? On the sell list is Alexander Mitrovic. A lot of managers have lost patience with him now, and I think with the fixtures turning a little bit now is absolutely a fine time to jump off him and move on to the likes of Nketiah or elsewhere. Moving on to the midfielders then, Bruno Fernandes has got to be on the buy list now. He's returned in 5 consecutive Premier League games. He's looked great in Manchester United's cup games as well. And he's great in a double game week. He loves a double game week. So for me, I think he's a really good option now for this upcoming double. I think the Eriksen injury really helps him as well, because hopefully he'll play a little bit further forward and he should be involved in more set pieces. On the monitor list, I've got Karim Mitoma. I would love to bring him in this week to replace Miguel Almiron, but I think the fact that Brighton blank in 25 and probably 28 as well just puts me off him a little bit. They could have a little double in the middle there, but if you do fancy Mitoma, it's now or never to get him in, because Bournemouth at home is a really great fixture for him, and I think I'm really going to regret not bringing him in right now. But free transfers are precious and it seems like a luxury move. But Miguel Almiron is on the sell list. I don't think I'm going to get round to selling him in my own team this week, but he's just been miles off the pace since the FPL restart. His form was lost during the World Cup break, and even though Newcastle United's fixtures remain good, I think those midfield slots are precious at the moment and he's just not delivering enough for us right now. Moving on to defenders then, and despite a blank in game week 25, I still think Fabian Schär is the best defender you can buy right now to double up on that Newcastle defence that have kept 6 clean sheets in 6, and he's actually top among all defenders for shots on goal since the restart, which makes it a really convincing argument. It's an easy switch if you've still got João Cancelo in your team. In terms of moving to a Man City asset, I think Nathan Ake is probably the best one right now, but with Spurs away this week, he's on the monitor list for now. I think you wait a week, just make sure that he looks absolutely nailed before bringing him in. I don't think it's worth using transfers now in anticipation of double game week 23 when we're not there yet, and things can change in the meantime, as we've already seen over the last few weeks. And on the sell list, Neco Williams has lost his place in the Forest defence. He's still in about 20% of teams at the moment, which surprised me. When you've got the likes of Rico Lewis at a similar price playing for Man City, I think it's easy to move him on now, because we're getting to the point in the season where we need depth on our benches. With blanks coming up in 25 and 28, it's important to plan ahead and not have any dead weight on your benches. Before I get onto my transfers and team selection then, I just wanted to speak to you quickly about Sorare, who have just announced a brand new deal with the Premier League. You've probably seen the ads on the Premier League website. Sorare is a fantasy game. Premier League has just come on board, and every week they're going to be running a free-to-play Premier League fantasy game. I've got my own mini league for it as well. Essentially, you pick 8 players on a draft with a 400-point budget, and then you select 5 players each week, including a captain. So if you want to get involved in the mini league, the code is HSHAND, and it's going to run until the end of March, and the top 3 winners at the end of that period will each get a pair of Premier League match tickets. So it's great to try out Sorare. I started playing it during the World Cup, was really impressed with the product, and now that the Premier League has arrived, it's just going to go from strength to strength. So get involved, and if you are new to Sorare, hit the link in the description below to sign up, and you will get a free limited card once you buy 5 on the marketplace as well, but you can just stick to the free-to-play options as well. Transfer plans then, and I have done a U-turn on the last video. I was looking at maybe switching Martinelli to Odegaard, but right now it seems like a luxury move, and given a smaller sample size, Martinelli could easily outscore Odegaard anyway. The FOMO has got to me though. Bruno Fernandes, I feel like I need him in this team for the double game week. I've not got my triple captainship, so I feel like just owning Rashford and Shaw isn't enough. So Bruno Fernandes is going to be coming in. The easiest way for me to get him in with my 2 free transfers was to use just one of my free transfers to sell Kevin De Bruyne, who's got a tricky fixture this week. He could see some rotation as well, and I'm not sure whether he's the Man City midfielder I want to own long term at the moment, with Riyad Mahrez really delivering. So the plan is to transfer out Kevin De Bruyne for Bruno Fernandes, and I could next week make the switch from Almiron to Mahrez, but I am going to be flexible for next week because I'm only using one of my 2 free transfers here, carrying one forward, so I'll have 2 free transfers for double game week 23 as well, with 3 Arsenal players and 2 Man City players as things stand. Team selection time then, and it was an easy decision between the sticks this week. Kepa gets the nod over Ward. He's managed really good returns in his last couple of games, so hopefully he can keep up that form against Fulham at home. I've gone for a 4-man defence because I wanted to start double Newcastle United defence over Almiron, so I've got Trippier and Botman in there for the game against West Ham at home. I'm excited to see what Gabriel can deliver against Everton, and obviously I've got Luke Shaw, who was back in the League Cup semi-final second leg after missing 2 cup games last week through illness, so that's good to see him available. Kyle Walker is last on my bench. I don't think he'll start against Spurs, and even if he does, I can't see much clean sheet potential from him. Moving into the midfield, and it's 3-man midfield, no place for Almiron, he drops to the bench. Marcus Rashford, of course, with that double game week. I'm really excited to see what he can deliver on current form, and he's joined by Bruno Fernandes, who is doing equally as well in terms of his FPL returns right now. Making up the midfield is Gabriel Martinelli. He's had 3 blanks in a row. Surely this is the week where he gets the returns and outscores Odegaard and Saka. He's certainly got the underlying numbers in there, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for that. Andreas is also on my bench for this week with a tricky trip to Chelsea. Moving into the forward line, and this kind of picks itself. Eddie Nketiah, bang on form, as is Harry Kane, and Erling Haaland is in there as well. When it comes to captaincy, it's got to be a double game week asset. Do you go with Marcus Rashford or do you go with Bruno Fernandes? For me, right now, I feel like Rashford has got the better underlying numbers. He's got more goal threat. And for me as well, I do believe that if Manchester United were to win a penalty, Rashford would be first choice. He did take one in the FA Cup in January. So I'm going Rashford over Bruno, but Bruno does love a double game week. So if you are chasing rank and you really want to go with a differential, Bruno is the one. But for me, I'm going with Rashford. A quick word on triple captaincy. I think if I had it, I would use it this week on Marcus Rashford. I think Bruno Fernandes is absolutely fine as well. So in terms of opportunities to use a triple captainship, the double game weeks later in the season, you'll probably want to use the other chips. We could see more rotation with the European Cup competition. So you need to either use it this week on Rashford or Fernandes if you've still got it, or maybe next week on Haaland. But for me, I think United have the better fixtures, so they're getting the advantage. I want to hear your final dilemmas ahead of the deadline, which comes on Friday, the 3rd of February at 6:30 p.m. Do not miss it. Don't forget to check out Sorare as well, using that link in the description to get the free card and entry to my exclusive mini league to win Premier League match tickets. Good luck everyone for FPL Double Game Week 22.